I'll talk you through this. I've already got these pre-written. Let me talk you through this. This is the kind of question you need to be familiar with. And the reason is because you need to be able to take a look at the graph of a parabola and figure out what the different points on the graph tell you. You did a little bit of this in Integrated Math 1. Here's our question. A ball is dropped from a rooftop. The graph below shows how far the ball falls over time. How far the ball falls over time. Explain what the following parts tell you about the ball. So let's take a look at our graph. Well, we've got time on the x-axis. We've got change in height, and this is meters on the y-axis. You can see the way they graphed it. Our ball started at 0, 0. That means time 0, and it's fallen 0 meters. And as they drop the ball, as time goes by, the ball falls farther and farther and farther. Notice they're representing a falling ball in terms of negative numbers because this is our x-axis here. Farther and farther and farther until, boom, it's done. It stops. It's no longer falling. So what can we learn from this graph? Here's the first thing. If a question asks you, what does the vertex tell you? In this case, the vertex tells you the ball dropped 0 meters in 0 seconds. It is the maximum height of the ball. Notice that every point from this point forward is lower than the current dropping point. So the vertex just tells you the ball is at 0 meters, has fallen 0 meters at time 0. What does the end point mean? The end point is this point right here. What does the end point tell you? Well, think about it. The ball drops and then it stops dropping. So that must be where it hits something or hits the ground. So my explanation is the ball fell, look at 9 meters. It's gone -9. That means it's dropped 9 meters. It's fallen 9 meters. And it hit the ground in 1.6 seconds. Remember, the x value is on the x-axis. That's time in seconds. The y value is how far the ball has dropped. So this tells you a lot. It tells you the ball actually only fell 9 meters, and it tells you that it took about 1.5 seconds. It took 1.6 seconds to actually hit the bottom. The reason the parabola ends is because the ball doesn't drop any further after this. That's why it's called an end point. And the last thing is, what does the point 1.25 comma -5 tells you? It tells you that in 1.25 seconds, the ball dropped 5 meters. So the ball fell 5 meters in 1.25 seconds. So all this data is actually given to us based on how the graph is drawn and how the x and the y axis are labeled. You need to be familiar with, and you'll see some of these questions in your textbook, taking a graph and then it's going to ask you questions about what does the y-intercept tell you, what's the x-intercept tell you, what's the endpoint tell you. You need to be able to write in sentences what those parts of the graph actually tell you about what's going on in the story given by the word problem.